Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Heather Frierson, and I'm your host of the Business Spotlight podcast. And today I have Laurel Roach, who owns a multi-unit studio with two brands, Trifit Wellness and Alloy Personal Training. And I'm so glad that she's here because you're going to hear all about her business, her challenges of starting a business, actually two brands, and just share a sneak peek of what it's really like to build and operate a business. So if this is your first time to the channel, be sure to like and subscribe so that you get a notification every time a new show drops, just like this one. Well, Laurel, welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Well, I'm going to throw it over to you, and I would just love for you to share with our audience all about your background and the businesses that you have.
Yeah. Well, I'll keep it as brief as I can, how to summarize all of the whole journey here. But I didn't have any sort of a business background whatsoever. I actually was a model from a very, very young age. Kind of worked in like bars and restaurants. It didn't really have any sense of direction or like where I wanted to go with it. And I kind of just fell into a job in it was a commercial cleaning company, very small little mom and pop cleaning company. And I just really hit it off with the owner. His name was Ryan Stark. The company is, I believe, still around. I don't know if he still owns it, but he was really the first one who kind of inspired that like entrepreneurial spirit in me, I think, to be able to solve problems. And he really wanted somebody who would challenge him, who would come with creative ideas, not just somebody to just sit there and do their job. And so we really built that business together from the ground up. I mean, just little teeny tiny offices all the way to we started servicing all of the high rises in our area. Grew it up to a multi-million-dollar line of business in my
Wow.
I handled the commercial office. We had a co-GM who handled all of our hospitality. But I think had I not had that person, I really wouldn't have had the confidence to understand what it takes to run a business, because I was solving problems all day anyway, and looking at the finances and developing people and all these things that we have to do as an entrepreneur. So my husband actually found my first studio, Trifit Wellness, in 2017. I was just working, just had my daughter, and I went back to work after 2 weeks, which I would not recommend. And I didn't know how to slow myself down, and I didn't really have the management infrastructure in place in that job. So I was super burnt out. So my husband found Trifit. Fitness is my one true love, always has been. I just didn't think I could really make any money doing it. And so he found this business, and it was cash flowing, they said, around $100,000 a year. And so, we took a home equity line out on our house, and it was his idea. He said, you're doing all this stuff anyway. Why don't we do it for ourselves? And so I thought I wanted to run it kind of like owner absentee. That's how it was sold to me. And I got the whole thing was misrepresented in terms of how profitable it was. They weren't spending any money on marketing. They didn't even have anyone cleaning it. I mean, there was no money being spent. It was really positioned to sell it for the most that it could be. So, I learned a lot about that, like buying and selling businesses and like what to look out for and things like that, which coming in, you never would know. And so, yeah, I've owned Trifit for 8 years, just about 8 years. And about a year ago, one of my very good friends, Mike Arcee, he's the CEO of Loud Rumor, and it's a mastermind group that I'm in for about 250 gym owners. We're all in it.
Oh, wow.
He approached me last year. We doubled in revenue in a year, my first year in that program. And, so he approached me, said, hey, would you be interested in opening these other studios? And that brand is Alloy Personal Training. So it's a franchise, but very, very similar to what we do at Trifit. So I felt really, really comfortable with what it is. And so, yeah, so we're opening 6 locations. Our first is in November here. So we're about a month away in construction right now. So very exciting.
Wow. So you have a couple different stories here, which I love and I want to dive deeper into. First, Trifit, you actually bought that. It was an existing company and had, I sounds like so many obstacles you overcame to make that successful because of the way it was the business was left. And so I'd love to learn more about that. And then
Sure.
with Alloy, you're into franchising, bought
Yeah.
a franchise and franchising. So there's so much there.
Yeah.
Tell me you're like, yeah, I can hear that.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I say now, and that this is why I'm so excited about this opportunity with Alloy, because I mean, for anybody listening, it's almost it's almost harder to buy something
Mm.
existing and then go through and change it all and make it your
Mm.
own, which is what we've done. And I
With
think,
Trifit,
yeah.
correct?
And when I
Yeah.
bought Trifit, there was no brand, there was
Mm.
no recurring revenue. Everything was all package based. So I I got in there and I had no guarantee of any revenue going forward. People could finish
Wow.
their package and leave, there's no contracts, there's no commitment. So it really was, I think to invest that kind of money and just kind of blind faith that like, okay, we're going to figure this out.
Yeah.
And we've changed everything. So I think that really came from just listening to your customer and
Hmm.
being aware of like what is my customer telling me over and over and over. I kept hearing the customer say, I don't feel comfortable in a big box gym. I don't know what I'm doing in the gym. I don't know how to
Hmm.
lift weights. I feel intimidated. Everybody here is fit and beautiful and whatever, and I don't fit in here. Um,
Mm.
so I just kept hearing the same thing over and over. And I think probably the biggest turning point was I hired, and I wish I could remember his name right now. I want to give him credit, but maybe we can put it in the show notes. But I hired a branding person, and
Oh.
he helped me kind of understand for the first time, like, what does my ideal client have in common? What are the words that they're saying?
Mm.
What is the tone of voice that we use? Are we the, the yell at you, like punish you type of studio, or are we the friendly, welcoming? Like every business has a brand. It has a way that
Hmm.
it feels and is perceived. And so I think that was probably the biggest turning point. And then I came up with our tagline, which is the gym for non-gym people.
I saw
And
that. I
came
love
up
it
with
so
that. I
much.
was like,
Good job.
yeah, like it was really stressful because I didn't know
Yeah.
how that was going to resonate with people. Are people going to think this is like for like geriatric,
Oh,
or so I don't know. Like I didn't know how
yeah.
it was going to be
Right.
perceived in the market, but I felt really strongly that people were like, I don't feel comfortable in the gym. I don't like going to the gym.
Mm.
So how do we make a message around that where somebody sees it and immediately knows like, oh, this is my
Hmm.
place. And so I think that's really what kind of catapulted our growth is having a specific market that we help and
Yeah.
then speaking directly to that market in a way that feels very personal to them. Like they feel that
Hmm.
when they look at our content, when they look at the website, that kind of thing. So
What has been your response from your clients since transitioning, which I'm sure has been a few years now since you changed that
yeah.
marketing? What has been the response?
I mean, it gets, I hate to say easy, but when you do it
Mm.
right, your discovery calls with customers and lead generation, all of that will start feeling the same.
Hmm.
If you're my customer, I already know when I get on the phone with you that you're probably over 40, you want to lose weight, you don't feel comfortable in the gym, you struggle with motivation, you're probably a business owner or an executive person, so you've prioritized your work or family and all these other things
Mm.
over your health, and you need accountability. Like I know who our customer is, I know how to help them. So those conversations get easier. And I think that's
Yeah.
how we grew so quickly, because you already know you can help someone. Like when you get them on the phone, it's very easy to distinguish like this is an ideal client or probably not the best fit, and we can refer them
Hmm.
elsewhere.
Wow. So when you find that, because I think this is so interesting to me when it comes to marketing and knowing your niche, because it's not just your niche, it's who you're passionate about, right? It's who you really love to
Who you want
help.
to, yeah.
Yeah. So how did you and I know you said you had a marketing person, but what is really one of the ways that you are finding right now that
Mhm.
person besides this podcast? How are you reaching them? Because I think that's an interesting concept to really know how to reach your ideal customer.
Mhm. Well, I think probably the first step would be to know who your ideal customer is, obviously.
Mhm.
If you don't know very clearly what your ideal client avatar is, you will struggle because you're shooting darts at everything versus if you're speaking to a person. So when we're marketing, the content says you. If
Mm.
you feel like I'm talking to that person, I'm speaking to the feelings, the emotions, what's keeping them up at night, the pain points, all of that. So I think that's number one, is like really understanding who your avatar is. And I remember when I
Mhm.
started Trifit, before I really took the time to get to know my customers, I went in and started changing everything. And I thought it was busy professionals. So learning lesson
Mm.
for the audience, I got it wrong the first time. So it's probably the first 4 years of owning my business. All the marketing was like busy professionals, it's not
Mm.
about that. It was about these people don't feel comfortable. They need to feel like
Mm.
this is a non-intimidating place where they can learn and then develop their love for fitness organically, you know.
Mhm.
So I would say that's first. Understanding your customer. And then second, I think that in today's just everyone is inundated with marketing messages all the time.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
I would say different is better. It doesn't
Mhm.
even have to be great. It just has to be different. It has to stand
Yeah.
out and be unique in the way that you're marketing. And I think you have to be everywhere. So
Mhm.
we have a concept in the mastermind that I learned that's called 5 lines in the water. So at all times, we need to have these different channels that we're marketing. So we have our digital advertising. So that would
Mm.
be like Facebook and
Mhm.
Instagram ads. We have our organic posts that it takes time to build all of that. We have
Mhm.
our social proof. So that might be like, I mean, we have over 200 5-star reviews at Trifit.
Oh, wow.
And these are paragraphs from people about how this place has changed their life. It's not
Mm.
like 5-star review, love this gym. It's like, this gym's changed my life. So the
Mm.
more that you can have other people advocating for like what you've done and how you've helped them, and it's not coming from you, here's how great we are. It's coming from
Yeah.
the customer, and they are saying the things that the customer, the lead that you're talking to wants to experience.
Yeah.
So I'd say reviews, and then we'll do mailers. So a couple times a year, we'll send out mailers out to the community, 10,000
Mhm.
homes
Wow.
in our market. And then referrals. So always asking
Mhm.
for referrals at the point of sale, doing specific targeted like challenges or events where people will
Mhm.
bring in friends and that kind of thing. So it's a multi-layered approach. So somebody might see you on Instagram, then they get your mailer, then they drive by, then a friend talks about you, and that's when they take action. So
Mhm.
they have to see you and hear you. You have to really
Yeah.
be everywhere.
Yeah. To me, listening to you, I can tell that you're really passionate about this, and you have to be passionate about who you serve,
Yeah.
or otherwise it's just a job. And I can tell it's not.
No.
And the fact that you're moving into even another avenue with Alloy.
Yeah.
So what makes you passionate about helping men and women? I was about to say just women, but obviously just because it's me and you here. But what
Oh,
makes you so passionate about helping people?
I don't know. I think I'm just wired that way. I am just wired that way, Heather. There are some people that they work to make money.
Hmm.
I'm a very mission driven person. I have to feel like what I'm doing on a daily basis is helping someone. And
Mm.
I mean, it makes me want to cry, even just talking about like
Mm.
just some of the people that I know. Now I'm not involved really at TriFit very much. I have an amazing team, and I think that's been really cool to just see the leadership of my team be
Mm.
elevated, because what have you really built if it all depends on you? Like the
Yeah.
true testament to the leader is, what have you built in lifting other people up and developing them. And so I would
Mhm.
say seeing my team grow, like seeing them,
Mhm.
and this was even at the janitorial company. I would have a day porter making $8 an hour that I saw something in them that they wanted to
Mm.
be more, like that work ethic, they would go above and beyond, they would communicate all these things. And then to see that person, like give them an opportunity to grow and overcome, like, this is hard,
Mhm.
but see
Mhm.
them develop. Or like my studio manager at Trifit really struggled with like the lead, like the calling, all the sales calls. And
Mm.
so reframing that for her of like, hey, you have this natural ability to be phenomenal at this, but this one thing is
Mhm.
holding you back. And so being able to like pour into people and develop them and then see their growth, I think that's what really inspires me. And just the lives that we change. I think fitness
Yeah.
doesn't solve everything, but it solves a lot for people. When you like how you look, when you like how you feel,
Mhm.
you have energy, like you can't, I don't know how the average person in today's sick world, I
Yeah.
don't know how they function. Like, how are they going to work every day feeling the lethargic, bloated,
Mm.
in pain? How are they functioning? And so I just feel really, really driven that like this is my purpose to make
Yeah. Oh,
some sort of an impact in this area because it
yeah.
affects people.
I love that you said that this is your purpose. It's not just a job, but this is your purpose.
I think it
And
has to be.
it has to be. Yeah. But I, not everybody feels that way. You mentioned it like you're making money and it's not your purpose. So, what has that impact been for you? You talk about the customer, but when you see the change, whether it's because of you or because of one of your brands, and then maybe another team may help them, how does that impact you?
I think it, I think it just inspires me to do more, kind
Mm.
of to my detriment. My husband kind of wants me to retire and slow down. And um, yeah, I feel, I feel so inspired to do more in this when I
Mhm.
hear how we're helping people.
Mhm.
I think especially, and this is like a little bit of a backtrack, but you know, when I was younger, there was so much celebrated about appearance that
Mm.
I really didn't understand how much power I had to make a difference in the world. It was like,
Mm.
okay, here's like the pretty blonde girl, and like that's all she
Mm.
has. That was sort of the message, unintentionally, of course.
Sure,
But
but it's still what, yeah.
once I started to see the impact that I can have, and I think with women especially, I think we are going to conquer the world because we're collaborators, we're problem
Mhm.
solvers. There's not the ego that's there. I mean, this isn't like a jab against men, but I think that there is this new wave of like female leaders that are coming up that
Mhm.
they will work with each other. They will ask for advice. They'll mentor. They'll help. So there's this attitude of like, man, if we can band
Mhm.
together instead of so much like separation,
Yeah,
isn't that what we need right now? I mean, I know this isn't a political podcast, but like the divisiveness that
right.
exists right now. And so if we have this common goal of like, man, we just want to help people
Mhm.
like make the world a better place, as cheesy as that sounds, that's what drives me.
Yeah,
100%.
that's not cheesy. It's not cheesy at all. And I don't think anybody would even think that cheesy when you talk about collaboration, and I agree with you that there's a new wave of women in leadership, and I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And you're helping lead that charge. And so congratulations. That's amazing.
Thank
I
you.
think it's important. So how does Alloy fit into this? And how is the mission of Alloy different maybe from Trifit?
Mm. I would say the reason that I jumped on board with this is because I felt so aligned to their mission.
Mm.
The CEO, Rick Mayo, I heard him speak at one of the Loud Rumor conferences, and everything he was saying, I was like, yes, yes,
Mm.
yes. You're in the wrong business if you're in fitness and you don't, can I swear on here?
Sure.
Okay. If you don't give a shit about people, you are in the wrong business in fitness. This is a people business.
Mm.
And so hearing him speak about that, one of my core values at Trifit is give a shit. Like it's on our website. Give a shit
I
is
love
our
it.
value. We have a give a shit budget of $200
Mm.
every month that we send flowers to our clients when somebody's sick or somebody had an injury or they lost a parent or we're writing cards, handwritten notes to people all the time about, their son's graduation or this that happened or that
Mm,
happened. There's a budget for it. Alloy has the same thing. They call it something different, but it's the emphasis on the people and I
mm,
think the modality too. I don't want to knock anything else in fitness because we're all trying to help. There's the same goal, but I
right.
think that so many people struggle with all of these other fitness brands because there's 40 people in those classes. The average
Hmm.
person doesn't feel comfortable in that. So if you told me I could make 3 times as much money and open I'm not going to slam anybody, but open one of these other brands that are large group classes, I wouldn't do it. I don't
Mm,
believe in it. So I think
mm,
just the core of what we do, the personalized nature of small group personal training, helping people on an individual basis, knowing whether they show up to the session or not, knowing their kids' names, where
mm.
that's what makes it sticky. That's what changes people's lives, in my opinion, because they've
Yeah.
now built this community. We don't have that anymore. People are going to church less. They
Mm.
don't see their neighbors. So where do we develop that community? And that's what we're doing in these studios. It's really special.
I'm writing this down, developing community, because that's really what you're doing. Or
Mhm.
one of the things is making people feel good, making them confident, building community. And I love that because everything you just said about how we're growing less and less with social media, less and less connected on
Yeah.
a personal level is so true.
There's just a lot of lonely people out there.
Hmm.
So if you create the atmosphere where these are all people that are around the same age, they're around the same kind of demographic, you are orchestrating happy hours or hikes or,
Mm,
opportunities for them to connect and like go for coffee or you're doing challenges. You're building that connection where now if they quit, they're leaving their social group. They're not just
mm.
quitting on their fitness, they're leaving their social group. So that is intentional, how we create that. That's what makes them stay, you know, is it's
Wow.
layered. It's not just about the workout.
Yeah, that is smart. That's smart business too. Just,
It
I
is. I
mean,
mean, that's not
you're
why we
making,
do it, but it is. Yeah.
yes, you're making a difference in people's lives, but you're also smart business, and the two can't be separate. They can be, I guess, but it's better when they go together, that you're successful in business and you're building lifelong friendships, relationships. And I just makes me wonder about your team, how your team gets involved in this.
Well, I mean, shout out to them. This would not exist without my team. Like they are everything to me. My daughter was the
Mm,
flower girl in my head coach's wedding. My studio manager is one of my best friends. They are just the most amazing people. I interviewed, I think, 86 people before I hired my last coach at Trifit.
mm,
I'm hiring for core values
mm,
first, culture fit second, and then skills and experience because the rest of it I can train. But if you're a crappy
mm,
person who doesn't care about people
mm-hmm.
or it's not the right feel, it's
Yeah,
not that there's anything wrong, but if you're the person, if you're the trainer who goes in and yells at everybody, all of our clients will go running for the hills. Like
yeah.
there is this balance between being super emotionally intelligent with when can I push this client? When are they can't do it today. I can
Hmm.
see it on their face. And so those are all the subtleties of when I'm hiring a person, I'm looking for high emotional intelligence, self-awareness, um, those are things you can't see that on a resume. It's really,
No.
really hard to find. So they are phenomenal human beings. So, and that's a
Well,
hard.
and you don't hear it is. And I was going to say, you don't hear that from a lot of leaders either, like yourself, that says you're looking for emotional intelligence and self-awareness.
Yeah.
So that's good leadership right there. So
You.
you're welcome. And so when you think of your team and you think of the two brands and your heart is helping develop people, community, where do you see your team and the businesses growing? Like, what's your vision for the future?
Yeah. Well, I think everything at Trifit, I mean, they are really that is a well-oiled machine at this point. They're amazing. So I've communicated, the last few months, I've really been a little bit more hands-off, been asking them to take on more because when
Mhm.
you're in a pre-sale with a brand new studio in in construction, you're starting from zero. So, $20,000 to $30,000 a month in debt from month one with no members. And so it is a full court press, foot on the gas pedal for 3 months to build up our membership. And so they know I'm really not going to be available a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of goes back to that. How do you set your team up for success and know that they have all the skills and the tools to operate the business without you, really,
Mm-hmm.
And then with the new one, I just hired a couple amazing people. It's a small team. Each alloy only has 3 employees, a director that runs the day-to-day, a head coach that does the majority of the sessions, and then a part-time coach that kind of fills in the rest. So it's a small team. And yeah, I mean, we're just in that strategy right now of how we do our marketing in the community, generate that brand awareness. And I mean, I see it. We have the 6 studios, the plan for 6 studios here in Arizona. It could be much greater than that, because I think people think that owning a gym is just going to be fun, and they don't understand how hard it is, how many things you have to get right. And I've made all the mistakes, so like now I know that, we may pick up some of these struggling studios down the road that decide, I don't want to do this anymore. It's too hard. So I don't know. I don't know exactly how big it will get. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
So just to clarify, Alloy is more, well, it's personal training,
Yes.
3 employees, so it's more intimate, one-on-one almost, it sounds like. Is that right? One-on-one at a
Yes.
time, or group training at a time?
Small
Small
groups,
group?
4 to 6 people in that session.
Mhm.
And each person, if I have somebody that has a ton of injuries, modifications needed, they've never set foot in a gym before, and then I have somebody who has been an athlete for 10 years, they just want personal training, those 2
Mhm.
people can exist in the session and get different programming, really, essentially.
Okay.
I can make it more difficult for this person, and I can regress the workouts for this person, and it's small enough in that atmosphere that the coach can really kind of modify based on who's in that session with them. And that's very similar to what we do at Trifit, but we have 10. So it's even more
Okay.
personalized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of skipping ahead, even for you, I asked about where you see the team, and you just shared about that. Where do you see you in 3 to 5 years?
Well, the plan is to have all 6 open in 5 years. So, I think that's where I'll be. I have realized this about myself over the years, that I am a big picture visionary leader. I struggle when I'm in the details with people because I care so much that if I'm talking to clients and I'm the one, I did all the sales at Trifit for 5 years. So, I love it. Like, those conversations are so like soul filling for me. But I can't do that anymore. I've realized sort of that I need to be kind of this bird's eye view. What are we building? How do I develop people? How do I hire people with the same values, feeling, all of that I have, that are going to communicate that same experience that I would to a new member coming in. But it can't be me, because I'll be so in the details. I'll be, if you were my client and you signed up, I would be worrying about how was your first week. I would be texting you, hey, did you have any trouble tracking your food in MyFitnessPal? Do you have any questions? I know that's overwhelming. How are you feeling? Are you sore? I would be so in the details with that person. And I've got 3 kids. I'm married. Like, I don't have the capacity to do that anymore. So it's really hard for me to have boundaries and say no. And so I have to really just trust the team and help develop them and work with less people, really, to continue to grow at the scale that I'd like to.
I think that's so important for all entrepreneurs to know that we all have different skill sets, but to know your lane, like you just identified, that you are the visionary, big picture, and you realize that you can't be in the small details. So in order to make that happen, you're developing your team in a way that reflects who you are, your same passion, your same mission, and all of your brands. And I think that can translate to whatever you do.
And it's scary at first. I would say, like Allie, for the last 5 months, I don't know any of the members that she's signing. I don't know them. They don't know who I am.
Mm,
Like there's almost a little bit of like an ego thing that has to be removed, that it's no longer about me. I'm not doing it.
mm,
They don't know who the owner, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. She made that person feel welcome and
yeah.
heard and valued, and she's doing that now. So it doesn't need to be me. So there is a little bit of,
Mm,
I think, some leaders, like there's an ego part of it of like,
sure.
oh, this person can't do it as well as me. Yes, they can.
Mm.
Yes, they can. Find the right people who are committed to your mission and it's more than a job for them. They can do it better
Yeah.
than you.
I think that's a testament of like what you talked about earlier, emotional maturity
Yeah.
and self-awareness. Like it takes a lot of, to do that, and you're doing it. So I applaud you for doing that. So, yeah. Okay. So we're gonna go into some fun rapid fire questions.
Okay.
You ready?
Ready.
Okay. What do you think is the key to success for you?
The key to success for me is, like we've been talking about, having a purpose behind your work.
Hmm.
You can't do this every day, all day, every day, with the punches in the face that we have as entrepreneurs, the money, the
Yeah.
stress. You have to have a mission behind it. Otherwise, it's very draining.
Yeah. I agree.
It could
Okay.
be.
Next question. I agree. I love it. Okay, next rapid fire. What is your one piece of advice that you would give to other business owners?
I would say understand your own personal core values and hire people that align with those to support your mission.
Hmm,
You
I'm
can't do
writing
this
that
alone.
down.
You can't do this alone, period.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I love that. I wrote that one down. Understand personal core values and hire people that agree with those. It's
We're
good.
aligned. So when I'm in,
Align. Yeah.
I'll ask them, what are your own personal core values? And I'm
Mm,
listening for those buzzwords, the same similar things.
mm, it's good. Okay, book or podcast. What are you listening to or reading right now?
Oh, I'm a big reader. I didn't know you were going to ask me that, but I've got, these are right here. I've got 4 more over here. Um, Books. I am currently reading this one called The Hidden Power of the Five Hearts.
Oh, what's that about?
Oh, that's a deep dive. We need like a whole other podcast on it.
Okay.
But basically just self-awareness. So I think most
Mm,
people really are operating very much out of their head. They're
mm,
not connected to their heart. And so we make decisions out of ego or fear or scarcity or whatever. When if you boil all that down to like our foundation of who we are as human beings is from a place of love. So if we're
mhm.
operating out of that place, we don't have a need to be right. We don't have a need to prove or to whatever. We can just,
Yeah,
so that's what it's about.
I like that. I wrote that down too. Who's the author?
That is Kimberly Snyder. Snyder. And
Snyder.
my best friend Diane sent me that one, and it's a good one.
That's good. I'm gonna look it up. Okay, last one, but this is a kind of fun one. If you had a little bit of magic dust and you had to choose one spot on your business to sprinkle it, where would it be?
Operations. Um, I have a little bit of shiny object syndrome. So,
What does that mean?
there's always like a new fun thing or something exciting or something that it feels like such a good idea to me at the time.
Hmm.
And then it kind of derails from the purpose or what it was that we were working on.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally get that. Just so you know,
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
So it takes a lot of effort for me to like, here's what the plan is. I have to plan out our annual goals, our quarterly goals.
Hmm.
Here's what we're focused on this week. And even just very, very recently, implementing this concept of the parking lot. It's more for myself than it is for the team. That somebody has an idea, something we want to do, whatever, even me, it goes on the parking lot. It doesn't mean we're just doing it right now.
Okay, so the parking lot is not necessarily the real parking lot because
No,
that threw
no.
me off for a second. You meant the idea is in the parking lot. It's on
Yep.
hold.
It's
It's
on the
not
parking
for
lot.
right now.
We have a list of all these things that we may or may not want to do. And normally I would just be so enthusiastic and excited about it. And oh my gosh, I had this great idea. Da, 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 da. And then they don't want to challenge me necessarily on it because I'm
Hmm.
enthusiastic. I'm a good persuader. So they're like, all right, sure, sounds great, and then we derail from like what those core things are. What's going to bring
Hmm.
more profitability to the business, improve our member experience, help with sales or help with retention. If it's not going to do one of those things,
Hmm.
second guess if it's the best
Right.
time to do it.
That is so good. I love that you created a parking list instead of a no. It's just on hold.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying.
Yeah.
I'm not great at it. Sometimes I do it, and then after the fact, I'm like, shit, whoops.
It's like I've heard the same before. It's a no for now, but not forever.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what that means. Like, we're not saying no. It's a good idea. And you're really prioritizing what you know is going to help grow in this moment.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
those are all really good. Okay, before we get to the last question of the day, share with everyone how they can follow you, contact you, all the things.
Yeah. So just you can find me on LinkedIn, Laurel Roach. And just if you send me an invite, say you heard me on the podcast. Otherwise, you get so
Awesome.
much spam and stuff on there.
Yeah.
And Instagram, again, Laurel Roach, or you can follow my
Hmm.
studios, Trifit Wellness or Alloy Scottsdale Greyhawk are the new social channels.
Awesome. Got it. Okay, last question of the day. What is most inspiring you today?
Most inspiring to me today is this idea of expansion.
Mm,
I am so inspired to be a little bit afraid of something because I think
mm,
many people, when they feel that fear of the unknown, oh gosh, this feels big, this feels scary. Can I actually do this? Am I in over my head? They shrink. They shrink back from it.
mm,
I am propelled forward by those things that feel a little bit scary, a little bit intimidating. Um, I want to rise to the occasion because I think that we keep ourselves boxed in with such limitations of what our
mm.
capacity truly is, um, because we're scared. So
Yeah.
when I feel scared, that's my clue that I need to move through that, to kind of get
Mm,
to that next level of growth. And it's not about money. That's about just that self-awareness of like where I'm limiting myself.
mm, hmm. And knowing that usually when it's scared, or especially for what you're doing, you're helping people on the other side, and there's people on the other side waiting for you.
It's really selfish not to, because
Hmm.
I'm so scared of failing or losing money or whatever, that
Hmm.
if I'm saying this is my mission, I'm really a hypocrite if I'm not willing to follow through with that. If it's scary to me, it's scary for our members who are doing this for the first time.
Mm,
So I need to show up for them,
yeah,
you know.
I love that. Yeah. If they're doing something scared, you have to also, as the leader, do the same,
Yeah, we
even though
say
it looks different.
there's a quote about that, right? You feel the fear and you just do it anyway. Like there's
Mm,
nothing wrong with feeling afraid. It's just, what do you do with that feeling?
right.
Do you process it just as energy, that this is just a feeling that I have? It's an emotion that it will pass through me and move. Or do I let that paralyze me from doing anything with it? You know,
Hmm. So good. I love that. Well, this is one of those conversations that I could do all day long. So thank you. Just
oh,
sharing your heart and your passion for your business. And it's just really inspiring. So I know everyone that's listening really enjoyed it. And I just want to encourage everyone that did watch it to save this show, because Laurel had some really great nuggets of how to really approach business,
thank
um,
you.
no matter what business you're in. So also don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so that you can get a notification every time a new conversation drops, just like this one. Thanks to everyone who joined us today, and a special thanks to you, Laurel. It was awesome meeting you, and I loved hearing your story.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.